If you've ever had somebody try to talk you out of joining the military, then this video is for you. I'm Dave, a Marine Corps veteran who experienced this exact situation when I tried to join the military, and I was also on the other side many times as a recruiter, helping my applicants deal with the feelings they were getting from loved ones, like their parents or family members or girlfriend or whoever, trying to convince them not to join the military, which is a lot for a young man or woman. And so I'm going to talk you through my experience and then how I used to help applicants get past this as a recruiter, or sometimes decide that maybe the military wasn't the best bet. That being said, let's dig in. First and foremost, just a little bit of background, right? I grew up in rural Arkansas. I was in a town, Roland, which is, has a stop sign and a post office, and maybe a bit more now, I don't know. But I was homeschooled for all but one semester. That one semester was my junior year. That was back when homeschooling wasn't cool, and people would just shit talk you all the time for being a homeschooled loser dweeb, which was me. I had an afro, mutton chops. I looked like Hyde from that 70s show, looked like a stoner, had never done a drug. I was loser on both fronts. It was great. And all that being said, right, that semester at high school, though, was where I met my recruiter, and I actually talked to all the different branches of service, and I've got videos on why I chose what I chose and how to kind of decide for yourself, so I'm not going to go into that realm. But I chose the Marine Corps, and then I realized very quickly that, summer going into senior year and then all of senior year, that's not always a popular decision, and I got a lot of people that I was close to try to talk me out of it. My own mom and dad wouldn't actually sign the papers for me to join at the delayed entry program when I was 17. If you're unfamiliar, at 17, you need parental consent from both biological parents. And I basically had to wait till I was 18. On my 18th birthday, I went and signed all the paperwork, went to MEPS the next week, swore in, and shipped off a few months later. And now, talking to my folks now, they are convinced that the reason for this was they just wanted me to not jump into anything too quick, feel my own answers out, make the decision for myself, and they thought it'd be more meaningful if I waited till I was 18 and did it without their signature. Given that they dragged me to several different colleges trying to convince me to go to University of Arkansas, ASU, Arkansas Tech, UALR, whatever, my memory of it is essentially that they didn't want me to join the military and that they were going to hold out as long as they could in hopes that I would change and do what normal people do, and go to school, whatever. And, get a degree, work for the rest of your life for somebody else, and then eventually retire and live on a budget. And that wasn't me. I wanted to leave Little Rock. I wanted to have adventures. I wanted to see the world. The military was a great option for that. I was sold on it. Anyway, turned 18 and went off. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna read you something. It took me a long time to pull this up. I actually had to go search the Google archives for how to even find these, because way back when I was in high school, call it almost, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and the Facebook had notes. And so you could write basically a blog post on your Facebook wall for people. And this was my very first, I think, one of, if not my very first note ever on my Facebook. And it took me a while to figure out in the archives how to pull this out of my Facebook and then to search through all my old posts by date and find it in that year. But I found it. So I'm going to read it for you real quick, and my editor may or may not make this a little bit more concise, but I'm going to read the full thing, and then I'm going to dig into how I was feeling, why I was feeling that way, and then we'll talk about what I used to talk through with applicants when they had this come up, because it came up a lot. And now a word from our sponsors, Hatless Dave. If you are not in the community that we have, which you can get in on this QR code, we built a school community if you're not aware of it. It is a extremely solid community of service members, vets, and future service members and vets who are interested in achieving their financial goals. So there's all kinds of just totally free content in there where we talk through your thrift savings plan, transitioning out of the military, real estate investing, VA loans, military benefits, and it's just a great place for you to drop questions where I and other seasoned vets in the group can answer. So check the QR code, hit it up, see what you got. Love you guys. Back to the video. Whew. Hatless Dave out. I'm just going to read it straight from this. I printed it out. The post or the note, whatever, was called the USMC and me. That said, this was written when I was a senior in high school, so this would have been either fall of 2007 or spring of 2008, and here you go. And yes, for all the freaking comments down below, I am only 34. I know I look old. Maybe it's the beard, maybe it's the gray, maybe it's the military. I don't freaking know. You're right. Ha 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 ha. Yes. Hey guys. Lately, I've been getting a lot of questions about why I'm enlisting in the Marine Corps, which I spelled wrong and did not put an S on the end of Marine Corps. And a lot of people are not necessarily telling me, but hinting greatly at the fact that they believe I'm making the wrong choice or another bad decision. Apparently I was the bad decision guy back in the day because I don't know. I really wasn't, but I lived in a very sheltered homeschool religious group. So like speeding tickets made you a bad person. Bad decision. So to clarify everything, here are a few of my thoughts on why I'm doing this. Note, these are from my mouth and they are my opinions, so whether you would enlist in the military is entirely unimportant issue to me, so please do not touch on that, because frankly, I'm tired of hearing the negative side about this whole deal. I would appreciate some positive input about what I'm doing with my life, and if you think you're going to be telling me something I've not already heard about the Marines, you're wrong, I have. So essentially, that's my like fed up, like, look, I'm just voicing my opinion. If you don't have anything nice to say, like, pound sand, go somewhere else. For starters, this decision is not just some crazy whim of mine. Trust me, it's way too big a decision to make a mockery of. I've always wanted to do something very anti-desk job with my life, whether that be becoming a firefighter, police officer, United States Marine. I was never sure, but I've always thought about these and many other options. For the past dozen years, I've recently come... Oh, my punctuation is terrible. For the past dozen years, no punctuation at all. That should be a period. I have recently come to the conclusion that I'm going to be enlisting in the Marine Corps this fall. Again, Corps, C-O-R-P. No S. I'm a Turk. What do I know? Contrary to popular belief, I am not doing this to hide from mistakes I've made in life or to cut ties and burn bridges with any unwanted acquaintances. In fact, I am quite proud of the choices I've made in high school and prior years to this date. Don't get me wrong, I've made my fair share of mistakes, but I feel after having made those mistakes, I've always followed up by taking the necessary actions to amend it. Basically, I was like that really nice guy in high school who did all the right things and like still got shit on. And I went out of my way to make situations right that I never should have. So I am not doing this to hide. I'm doing this for several reasons. One of which is with how unhappy I am about the way our country is headed and has been headed for quite some time. I don't know that I feel any differently that way right now. I feel that it is my duty to do something about it, and seeing as how I am not terribly interested in being in politics at this point in my life defeats the purpose of being anti-desk job, that's what I put in parentheses, I figured that serving my country by fighting for mine as well as your freedom was a good idea. Again, poor punctuation, whatever. I actually failed an English class my senior year in high school, and ironic that I'm an author now, so thank God for editors. I also like the idea that in 4 years, when you're coming out of college and starting to get yourselves jobs and settling down with your lives and your debt, or you're in debt for school, I will be coming out of the Marine Corps with the feeling that I've done something with my life already. I'll also own a house and a decent amount of money to my name, as well as having college paid for. Now, I didn't actually own a house after that first 4 years because I'd been in Japan and then Pendleton, and it was during the, 08, whatever, wasn't exactly ideal for buying a house, but I had the rest. I had started my associate's degree. I had college earned. I'd seen the world. I'd deployed. I felt really good after that 4 years. And I'd earned the VA loan, so I could have bought a house. And I really wish I had at that time period, if you know how the market's done since then. Another reason that I'm doing this is because I want to. Me, not you. And it's my life, so I have that right. Well, anyway, I have a headache. I'm off to bed. Feel free to leave your thoughts, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have or talk to you further about this, whether on Facebook, in person, preferable. But just remember, the next time you begin to criticize my decision to go off to war next year instead of go to JBU like everybody else, John Brown University, that was the place everyone was going, that I am fighting for your freedom so you can go to college so that you are not under communist reign, and whether you would have any interest in joining the military or not, this is my decision, and I am proud of my decision. I stand by it 100%. Basically, this was a long way of... Oh, hang on. Sorry. Then I left it with Semper Fidelis, always faithful, motivational picture, and Marine Corps emblem. That was the whole post. Essentially, this was a really nice way of saying, like, hey, guys, if you're in my circle and you can't just, like, accept what I'm doing as what I want to do without feeling the need to criticize it, off. That was basically what I was trying to get at with this. Now, I will say this. There's a lot of stuff in there that kind of makes me laugh, like communist reign. We haven't fought communism since I was alive, so, at least not directly. Hopefully what you got out of that was the sense that, like, I get you. I've been there. I had my friends, my family, my parents, my siblings, my teachers. Everybody was trying to convince me college is the way, military is for losers, military is the last chance, you've got more potential. We don't want to see you throw your life away, all the things, right? And I get that that's like the norm, is people go off to school. And so it's kind of unnormal to join the military. And therefore, like, the people who are the people who decided to go to school, what I always felt like was this: the people who decided to go to school because that's what they were told they should do, even whether they were passionate about it or not, those people are the ones most critical of you doing something else. And I honestly think it comes from a jealousy that you are able and willing to make the decision to do something that doesn't fit the mold when they weren't. And again, I am not here to bash college. College is great. Now, I will say college is great if you're going to be like architect, lawyer, medical, some kind of specific engineer, like a really detailed, specific career field where you absolutely need the education to do that, and it's a subsect where there's no competition outside of that degree. I don't think as a whole the phrase college is great is accurate at all. I think it's overpriced, undervalued, terrible investment, especially if you have to go into debt for it, for a large majority of people who just get like generic degrees. And I'll stand by that. I would have stood by that back then. I'll stand by it a lot more right now. It is what it is. I am by no means going to push my kid to go to college. I'm going to push him to do what he wants, what he loves, and I'm going to push him to make good financial decisions, which means you're going to college, you're using my benefits, and you're not having debt, and you're picking a degree that's worth the shit. You're not just going to screw off and hang out. But I still think the military is hands down the best thing you can do coming out of high school, and I'll stand by that. I've got videos on it. It is what it is. So now the other side of this, right? I had more applicants than I can count whose girlfriend tried to talk them out of the military because they didn't want them to be gone, whose parents tried to talk them out of the military because they'd heard horror stories, whose teachers, whose coaches, coaches probably not. Coaches are usually pretty cool and supportive. I think, especially for a man, like a strong male, like football, basketball, baseball coach in their life, that role model can be really, really powerful. So if you're one of those, kudos. And generally, those were not the people that were trying to talk them out of this. And here's the thing. You have to realize a few things. One, it's your freaking life. Like, when you're 70, are you going to regret that you joined the military for 4 years and maybe it wasn't the best career field, so then you went to school and then you got a degree and then you went on to do something different? Or are you going to regret never joining the military when you wanted to and always wondering what if? Now, I'll tell you, you can answer that for yourself, but I will tell you, I've heard a lot of people say that they joined the military and that it wasn't for them. And they got out, whether that was 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever. They got out and they went on and they did something else and they loved it. I have never, not one time in my entire adult life, as a recruiter, as a service member, as a veteran, ever heard a Marine. Now, I can't speak this way for all the branches, but I've never in my entire life heard a Marine say that they regret having joined. Now, I've heard them say they didn't like it. I've heard them say they couldn't wait to get out. I've heard them say it was the wrong decision. I've never heard somebody regret joining. Every single Marine I've ever met, joining the Marine Corps was one of the greatest turning points in their life for better. It was not regrettable. And whether the rest of their time in service was lovely or not, they saw traumatic stuff or not, they did not regret that decision. I will say that the vast majority of people who serve in any branch of military feel that way. I just haven't been around the other services enough to be able to say I've never heard it, or that I have enough data to think that it's a common theme. Whereas with the Marines, everybody that I have ever met was glad they served, whether they loved it or not. So I would be willing to bet that 70 years from now, you will feel better that you tried it and didn't love it and went on to do something else than that you never tried it. And I've heard 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old men, women come to me and say they regret not having joined. They wish they'd joined. They wish they'd served. I've had people who were injured, like couldn't pull the trigger finger, whatever. That's not a trigger finger. I don't know. Don't judge me. Couldn't do whatever, got disqualified, wished they'd been able to join, couldn't medically, and they regretted it their whole life. Wish they'd joined, got talked out of it by someone they love, regretted it their whole life. I knew people when I was a recruiter who got talked out of it by a high school girlfriend, and then they broke up with that girlfriend, they came in and joined, and they were incredibly glad they did so. I know people who their parents talked them out of it. I had an applicant, I won't name names. This guy's dad, he was one of like 10 or 15 kids. They were Romanian. And I went to the high school and talked to him, set up an appointment at his house, went to the house. Dad wouldn't let me in the house. So like a month later, got another appointment set up. dad wouldn't let me in the house. He came to PT once and then was like forbidden from coming, wasn't allowed to talk to me at the school, couldn't pull him out at school. Like, I remember this kid, I want to say he drove an FRS, like, anyway, was not allowed to talk to me. Parents effectively forced him into college. You know, you can say forced, but I mean, ultimately his decision. Went to college because that's what he felt he needed to do. Didn't make it through his first semester, hated it, screw this, came in, enlisted, joined the military, loved it. You know, honestly, I haven't talked to him since he got out of the military, but he came back that first year, that second year, and he was nothing but smiles. Glad he made that decision. Will not regret that he joined. Whether he ended up loving the military or not, he's glad he did it. Now he's got the GI Bill to pay for school, so he doesn't have to take on debt to go to school. I have a ton of those kinds of stories. Girlfriend talked you out of it. Parents talked you out of it. Got talked into college, whatever. Because the reality is, as a 17, 18-year-old kid, and I'm sorry, kid is the word that I'm going to use here. If somebody really close to you, who means a lot to you, that you value, is truly trying to talk you out of this, it's going to be hard to resist. It's going to be very hard to stick to your guns. It takes a toll. So if you're watching this and you're like a parent, a loved one, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever, like, show this video to them and just say, look, this is what I want to do. These are the reasons. Like, have actual reasons. It's not just an emotional knee-jerk reaction. Like, I have legitimate reasons. And then, you know, maybe show them the video about like how the military is the best job out of high school that I did, where we talk through like the college benefits, the tuition, the benefits, the setup, the intangibles, the tangible, all the reasons that the military is incredible for young men and women. And just show them. Be like, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Why will you not just support my decision? Because they will. And I'll tell you this, the kid who parents would not let him join, wouldn't let him talk to me, went to college, came in, went to boot camp. His parents came in with him after boot camp and thanked me. I have had more parents, girlfriends, whatever, that were just aggressively opposed to them joining the service come into my office and thank me when they saw the transformation of boy to man, civilian to Marine, come in and thank me, thank the office, and just be so happy, so proud. That transformation is real. You will see your boy become a man 3 months, and you're not going to get that like going away to college, come back. It's not the same. It's not. And so, like, I just tell you this, my experience, all these naysayers, one of two things happened. They either got in line, supported me, and when I got done with boot camp and came back, and ever since have been in my close circle and have been proud of me and loved every minute of it, and I love them and whatever, or they fell out of my life. I don't talk to 90% of the people that I knew in high school. They don't talk to me. I'm okay with that. They're okay with that. Our lives go on. We're great. We're friendly, whatever. There are maybe 5 to 10 people that I reach out to when I go home. There's a couple people that I'm acquainted with that I talk to here and there, but like this last time I went home for Christmas, the only person that I actually went out with and had dinner with and grabbed a drink with outside of my family is someone I met in Costa Rica last year, who was in the military, but is not anymore. And he is not someone I knew in high school. He didn't even live in the state when I went to high school. He just lives there now. And so we linked up. And there are friends that I went to high school with that I reach out to, but like those circles move on. And here's the real thing. I can't answer whether or not that person who's trying to talk you out of the military will gain or lose respect for you if you change your mind. I'd be willing to bet that on a subconscious level, they lose respect for you for not serving the purpose that you want to serve, especially if it's a girlfriend. Like, if you stay home to be with the girlfriend instead of choosing the purpose and the mission that you ultimately, like, really as a man feel called to be in, subconsciously, they're going to lose some respect for you because you chose to be like the needy little girlfriend boy or boyfriend, whatever, however you want to word that, like your girlfriend's toy, whatever, like, you know, the submissive guy, instead of serving that higher calling that you felt pulled to. You gave away your mission and purpose to stay where it was safe to make them happy. And ultimately, in the long run, that's not sexy to a chick. Sorry. And I'm sure the converse is true, but I can't speak to that side because I was never a chick with a boyfriend. Sorry. I've never been a boy with a boyfriend. So it is what it is. So either they're going to potentially lose that respect for you. Or like long term, your relationship probably isn't going to be that mendable and that deep anyway, because you're not being true to yourself. So you will lose respect for yourself. So I am not pushing you to join the military, but if that is what you're set on, don't let someone talk you out of it. Basically tell them to get in line and tell them what you're doing and why. And if they can't support that, you don't need them in your life. And if it's someone that close to you, they will either come around down the road and you should be open to letting them back in, or they won't. And that's their decision. That is a them problem, not a you problem. It is what it is. I really hope this helps you make it through the decision that you're working through and wrestling with right now. If you got questions, drop them in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking of. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I've been there, I've seen it. You're not alone. Joining the military is not always a decision that people stand behind for you or support. It's not always an easy choice, but if it's what you want to do and you're called to that higher serving, I really do believe you're making the right choice. And I'm here to support it. I'm here to love you. I'm here to give you the, thanks for carrying the torch now that my torch has been passed on, and, Semper Fi and all that good shit. Subscribe if you haven't. Love you guys.